we explore, acknowledge, set right, and show gratitude for our deepest, most private, inward thoughts, emotions, and experiences. As always, you can write to the show anonymously and share your thoughts and experiences or a story that you would like us to share on the podcast. You can also follow us on Instagram at the Innermost Podcast. I am your host, K-Joy. I'm here today with my wonderful, lovely husband,
LaTroy Dinkins.
It is Saturday, June the 14th. We are just a day away from Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, babe.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Happy Father's Day to my father, my father-in-law, my brothers out there, brothers-in-laws. It's a weekend. It's an interesting weekend. Because today is Flag Day. What is Flag Day? What the heck is Flag Day? It's weird. I guess it's disrespectful that I would say what the heck is Flag Day, considering that it's on the calendar. But I mean, do you really know every holiday that's on the calendar?
No, I don't.
Okay, exactly. So I mean, Flag Day is one of those days I feel like we see on the calendar but kind of gloss over. It is historically a day that we honor our flag, but this particular Flag Day, there's a lot of controversy swirling around Flag Day. Ironically enough, it happens to be on President Donald Trump's birthday, June the 14th. With this Flag Day is coming a lot of nationwide, like national protests, and they're calling it the No Kings protests. Familiar with that, babe?
No, I'm not familiar with this whole little protest thing. I know that it was something that came about like this, or was in the works for this month or whatnot. So I'm really out of touch when it comes to, I even know Flag Day. I'm shameful to say that I don't know anything about no Flag Day. I've been so out of touch when it comes to politics and things of that nature, like unless it's Memorial Day, Labor Day, President's Day, and all that other stuff. Those are the only days I know because I get to take off work. So I don't know anything about this Flag Day and this King's Day thing.
I don't think you should be ashamed about it, though. I feel like that's the general feeling of most of the public, at least, as regular folks who are not all in the news or whatever. So I feel like that's we all have a general, understanding or feeling, or we can relate to how you feel about Flag Day. I did a little research, and apparently the No Kings protest came about because there's organizations and, there's so much, the political climate is really hot right now with the protests on immigration, the issues that's going on in L.A. with President Donald Trump sending out the National Guard to handle such a domestic and local issue. The protests are supposed to be to basically shine or to deliver a cloud on President Donald Trump's grand political or display of our military. Apparently he's having a parade today that's cost between $25 to $45 million displaying the military. He says that it's to honor them for always protecting our country and defeating the enemy. People are saying it's another one of his narcissistic, dominant moves to display his power, and it happens to be on his birthday. So the nation is taking it upon themselves to protest this day. What do you say?
I think as far as big ass orange face to stick his chin up proudly, have all that ego, because he is wanting to be a dictator. He's trying so hard to be a dictator in America, and we've never set that foundation here in America where we have a dictator like other nations. And I just think this is a way for him to be endowed and people to worship him. Have some little idolatry going on here, but it is what it is. That's my opinion. I just think that the orange guy is going to, he's going to make sure that the camera stays on him and his son Barron and all the rest of them.
I find it interesting that there are actually like analysts and people who historically like look at pretty much the behaviors of dictators, and they're able to look at President Donald Trump and say, okay, this is in line with dictatorship. This is the behavior of dictatorship. Do you think that do you think that he's following a script to become this way, or do you think this is just innate behavior of his that just happens to align with the truths of what makes a dictator?
No, this is innate nature. He was shaped this way. You know, we were all born in sin, shaped in iniquity. He's born in sin, shaped in iniquity, and shaped in arrogance. You know, and this is his personality. We saw, you know, we used to like to watch this show, and he used to, you know, fire people, and so it's just his personality. This is who Trump is. The scary about him is that he puts his cards all on the table. You know, there's no methodology to his madness, or you know, he's not diplomatic. He doesn't have any method, and I think that you know, hopefully he doesn't get exploited, because that could mean paying for us American citizens, but we'll see. I'm really not a fan of Trump. I will admit that I did vote for him like the first time around because I thought it was cool to have somebody who actually know how to manage money be a president, but I just see that his angle is just to be a dictator. You know, I think I would have voted for Elon if Elon ran against Trump, you know. So that's just my take. I just think it's in his innate nature.
All right. Well, the interesting thing is that all of this has unraveled after a spat that him and Elon had between, or a public breakup that they had. I think what's interesting about that is that the last thing we heard from Elon was that Trump was in the Epstein files, and they're saying that he since deleted that post. Do you think that because of President Donald Trump's behavior, that he's starting to throw out all these distractions to keep people from thinking about that post? And also, do you think the powers that be are putting pressure on Elon to remove that stuff? Like, what do you think goes on behind the scenes? And the reason why I asked that question is I don't know how many people actually watch the show Scandal, but Scandal, basically, for me, it really went into a lot of the scandalous things that happened or potentially happens behind the scenes in the world of politics.
Yeah, no, I definitely believe it. You know, I think that that's valid reasoning behind all this. But on the opposite spectrum too, you know, there's people who actually believe that Trump and Elon, this is all orchestrated. This is all a ploy to actually have those Epstein files released. You know, they're them attacking each other, you know, and they're doing it. The people think that this is scripted, that they actually still get along behind closed doors. But on the opposite spectrum is, you know, you think, or I'm not saying you believe, but some people believe that, you know, this is just a cover up so that it is a distraction of the releasing of those Epstein files. Now, everybody's seen the videos, you know, of him partying and doing all that stuff. You know, he's a man at the end of the day, and he makes sure that everybody know that. Mm-hmm. You know, in regards to with females, his past behaviors with females and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, that's crazy. We're gonna digress here in a minute, but I just feel like it's interesting that with President Donald Trump in office, we always find ourselves in the same position of weeding through his personal drama and things that he have going on, while trying to stay focused on real issues at hand. So that's always interesting. But we are going to digress into some other things. We are not, 100% into politics and what's going on politically. But what I do like is that we're able to discuss these things on, both sides of that two-edged sword, so to speak, in a decent manner. I always find it interesting that some people are just not able to discuss politics without their emotions being involved. Some people are just not able to have these conversations without being emotionally driven. And I mean, to each his own. I'm sure there's a reason for that. I think for me, at the end of the day, it seems like, things are going to happen outside of our control. I do have a question for you before we digress and move into some other things like sports and the box office and things of that nature. The finals, NBA finals, some of the new movie releases when we talk about the box office is with all of this stuff that's happening in the world. You have a lot of people who are afraid of the new technology. They're afraid of AI taking over. You have a lot of people that are stressed out about finances. You know about the markets. I don't know what that looks like for people or what stress they might have regarding that. What would you say? How does a person stay even keel under all of this? How does a person stay sane or without being stressed out with all of this going on? Because a lot of people are suffering from stress and strokes and trying to figure out how they're going to live. And a lot of our younger and older people are feeling this, I feel like maybe the most. What do you say to that?
I think that overall, if I'm telling somebody, let's generalize this. You know what I'm saying? If I'm to tell somebody how to stay even killed during some of these trivial times or whatnot, is to focus on the big picture. Because I think first and foremost, a lot of people don't understand the big picture because they have their own personal emotional anchors, that they believe in or whatnot. And so I think the biggest thing for people to understand is that in the midst of everything, technology, like you mentioned, AI, new advances, is to try as much as possible to focus on the macro picture. Case in point, a lot of investors in the world that are, in that bracket of the higher powers that be, like the George Soros and Stanley Druckenmillers and some of the guys who, even before them, like the Rothschilds and Rockefellers and all that stuff, they've always made money off of focusing on the macro picture, which is the economy. If we have some advances that will help us in society and help us create jobs, help us, get the revenues we need, make our economic numbers look good, promote prosperity in the U.S. by, consumers spending and things of that nature. When you focus and get all the clearer picture, then we're going up. Simple as that. People try to focus too much on the micro and don't even really understand the micro. They have these. Everybody have these different things, and it has no bearing on the massive macro picture. For instance, the Epstein files between Trump and Elon Musk. If it did come out, what is that going to do to our nation, our economy? Our economy is its own machine, set aside from what the president has going on and things of that nature. So just focus as much. It's kind of just think of it like this, the world is like a scoreboard, or the U.S. Let's talk about the United States. The United States is like a scoreboard. And depending on how that macro picture is doing with these different metrics, then that's what we should be focused on. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there that, will say this and that. But the big thing is, what does that theory or that conspiracy, how does that affect the economy? That's what you should be focused on. If our economy is healthy and we're making new advances in technology, that's going to work in our favor as an economy. You can invest your money easily in the market. Perhaps you get a bigger edge, invest your money in our economy than the actual casinos that are here domestically. 8 out of the past 10 years, our market has been positive. Right now, we had this tariff talk, and I know a lot of people and a lot of investors right now making massive amounts of money right now. So just to focus, like to keep even kills, just focus on the big picture. If you don't know what that big picture is or know how to interpret the big picture, take time to educate yourself on the big picture.
Well said. I love that. Thank you for some direction for those of us who may be struggling just to stay focused and not get our minds too wrapped in. I would encourage people to also take a step back. Go when things seem to be too overwhelming for you. Lean into those things that seem to relax you. Read a good book. Kind of take your time or space away from social media. Go to the gym or even play some sports. Go fishing or even foster some of your personal relationships. Spend time with those people who you can trust and who make you feel good. Maybe a backyard barbecue or just some intimate time with people in your life. I like how you spoke about economy and some growth. So we're going to kind of dive into that a little bit. This should be fun. I'm looking here at the box office, domestic box office for June 6th through the 8th this year, 2025. And our number one movie right now is...
You want to take a guess at this?
Go for it.
Sinners?
No.
Hold on, you talking about for this year?
But no, for this for June 6th through June 8th, that week.
Oh, was it?
So
Don't tell me no damn Final Destination.
No, you wouldn't believe. Come
Okay,
on, you got it.
It has to be something that's nationally appealing to the masses.
Okay.
Okay, so hell, if Tinkerbell was on a movie, I would say it was Tinkerbell.
Hey, you're close to it. You're thinking Disney. You're right there. Go for it.
Lilo and Stitch.
Lilo and Stitch. Lilo and Stitch is at the top of the box office for the week of June 6th through June 8th. Now, I know it's the 14th. We're just looking at the weekend from June 6th to June 8th. This was the 23rd weekend, the latest release here. Lilo and Stitch grossed over $32 million. Now, here's the thing. Mind you, I said number one for that week. Do you know what number two spot is?
No, I do not know. What is it?
John Wick.
Oh, I should have known that.
And 3?
Mission Impossible?
Mission Impossible. Sinners are down there at number 9. But here's the kicker. We're going to do something interesting because and you were just talking about money, so this is very interesting. Let's look at the total gross for these movies. So I'm going to kind of change it where we're not looking at the ranking by this week. But for the total gross for these movies, guess what movie has the top gross?
Like gross revenue?
Yes.
Sinners.
No.
Lilo and Stitch.
We went to see it as a family. That's it.
Don't tell me the Minecraft.
The Minecraft movie, $423 million. Can you believe it? Look at these numbers. $423 million. Over Lilo and Stitch. Lilo and Stitch is looking at $335 million. Sinners, $272 million. So it comes in third place with the gross. We have Final Destination. That movie makes me so paranoid. Final Destination with gross comes in at about 6th place, with Mission Impossible being above it. Thunderbolts, I think that's another Disney movie. That one, when it comes to growth, comes in at number 4. Yeah. So very interesting, especially what you're talking about, just life in general. There's money out there.
Yeah.
And there are people who are, getting out there enjoying some of just talent and things that's going on in the world. Money is being spent. Money is being circulated. This is interesting numbers for Minecraft movies, though, for the total gross to be that amount. And then it's showing that within 346 theaters. So, that's interesting. I want to look into that and see if I'm reading that right.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Consumerism is real. I mean, this money, it's crazy.
Now, mind you, with the Lilo and Stitch, the original Lilo and Stitch, the animated movie came out in 2002. So what is that, 23 years later?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 23 years later, and they're still making money off of Lilo and Stitch. All right, since we're talking about movies, you're anticipating a movie release called 28 Years Later. It's scheduled to release June 20th, 2025.
That's next week.
Next week.
We all going to go see it as a family.
Well,
Except for the kids, the little two ones, they can stay back. They can stay with grandma.
But I need to see the first one first. Apparently, the first one came out. It's called 28 Days Later, and it came out June 27th, 2023. What are we looking at? 22 years ago?
Yeah.
Almost 28 years later, right? Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, we need to watch the first two just to catch it, just to get a synopsis of it, and then we can watch the third one together as a family next week.
Sounding good.
We cook some barbecue and watch a little bit of movies.
Is that your Father's Day goal this week?
It could be.
I can dig it.
Next week I'm off. Juneteenth is next week.
Juneteenth. Shout out to Juneteenth. Yeah. Shout out to the Biden administration and all the people who worked during that time to make that a federal holiday. There's been threats that holiday will be taken away. I hope not. That would be a major step back in this country. So shout out to Juneteenth coming up. Hope everyone sit back and enjoy it. A little bit of Disney news since we brought up Disney. Their Oogie Boogie Fest Bash is so popular till they are starting August all the way through October. I love the month of October. My birthday rests right there. I am a Libra girl, and it looks like there are a couple of magic keys that are available right now. It's the Inspire key and the Believe key. Call me when the Enchant key becomes available. That's the one I'm waiting for. Before we get ready.
High prices. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
But no, I mean, I'm just saying, like, this just reminds me of, like, this statistic that came out. They said in the state of California that if you make $100,000, that's considered poverty.
Yeah.
Because you got places that sell enchanted keys for $1,000.
Oh, over $1,000.
Over $1,000. It's ridiculous. California is turning into a rich person state, basically. Mm-hmm. Like, you can only come visit this place and fly your ass back home.
We have the highest insurances.
Oh yeah.
It is up there. It's almost like privilege to live in California.
Yeah, it is very much so privileged, and we right now living in the cheat code because we're in Central California, and we got our house for $200,000, and hopefully we're not moving because we want to see this house appreciate in value over time.
And the thing about it is, how long from right now? How many years do you think it'll be before Central California is all like sold out like LA County, and before it's like overpriced?
Well, it's happening right now.
Yeah. How many years though before you think it's like nearly impossible? Because people are still buying homes and selling homes.
Like you talking about like how it is in Southern California?
Yeah.
Like I would say 20 years from now.
20 years from now.
When we're like close to going towards 60.
Definitely worth holding on. I'd say 15. Yeah?
Yeah.
I think it's worth holding on to your property. I think my parents bought their home in Riverside County. I think it was like it was under $200,000, like 120-something thousand back then. Over 2,000 square feet, pool, spa, 3 bedrooms, 2-story home. And that house is now worth over $777,000. So that's interesting.
Very interesting.
All right, the Pacers lost last night at home to OKC. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm pulling for the Western team. OKC, they pulled it off. Shai did his thing last night. They were down like by a 10-point deficit late in the fourth quarter. I think they only had about 10 minutes left. It was down by a huge deficit. Came back, was victorious. So yeah, good. Kudos to the OKC. I'm actually looking for them to pull it off. I learned that Tyrese Halliburton is very close friends with Caitlin Clark, which the America loves not a love story, but like one of these types of stories where you got two passionate players, one in the WNBA that's very popular, and they're texting each other. And they just love a story like this. Me, I'm against it. So go OKC, and let's do our thing.
All right. Well, you heard it. I find it interesting. I really like this series. I like these finals, these NBA finals. These are two really good teams. The Pacers last night, had they made their free throw, they definitely would have covered the spread. The spread was at +6. The 6 +6 -6. The spread last night for the Pacers OKC game. I like how disciplined the Pacers are. I do like your loyalty to the West Coast. I think I need to be more like that in that respect. Like, you know what? I hope the West takes it. I just never think that large. And maybe I should think on that scale. I feel like whoever wins this, man, they won it, because this is going to come down. These teams are great. Both teams are great. Pacers are really disciplined. I'm surprised they miss as many free throws, but at the same time, they're retired. They're fatigued. OKC is a good team. I'm looking forward to enjoying the rest of this season. Every single game has been really good. I want to go a little bit. You have something?
No, I don't. But the Dodgers, we got to get our pitching together. Everybody's on the injured list, so I don't know what we're going to do. Shohei might need to warm his arm up and get his ass out there.
I saw like an image of him holding his elbow. I'm like, he been holding that elbow a long time.
Hitting home runs.
Yeah.
Keep the elbow, whatever you're doing, just if the elbow's hurt, keep it hurt, because you're hitting a lot of home runs.
All right, I think we have one more question on our Innermost podcast, a deep one. But before we get into this, I want to do something really quick. I want to randomly ask you win or loss questions on some of the teams playing today, starting at 10 a.m. 10:05 a.m. is our first MLB game, Marlins versus Nationals. I just want to, if you could pull up the ESPN website and look at the schedule for today, or you can look at scores, and I'm going to pick your brain a little bit.
For MLB?
MLB.
Okay.
All right. I can't believe I lost that bet this week. What do you think about? Tell me a little bit about the spreads. What do you think about these spreads set at even numbers? Because I lost my parlay this week because of a 0.5 situation. Quickly, you can kind of go over. What do you think about that?
So anyways, what she's talking about, just to explain what the spread thing is. So if you're betting, like say if there's two teams playing, right? There's team A versus team B. And let's just say team B is the favorite team. They like the whole consensus on team B is that they're going to kick team A's ass. So what these bookkeepers do, they say, okay, since team B has a big edge, we're going to give team A, before the start of the game, we're going to give them 2 points. 2 points. So you just got to pretend that the score at the beginning of the game is 2-0. Team A is winning. So if team B ends up beating them with that 2 point lead, that's what the spread is. So what I think about the 2 point spread, so say if team A has 2 points and team B, they score 122 points and team A scores 120 points. So it's really 122 to 122. The sports books, they say, okay, it's a tie, so they push that game. You don't, whatever you bet on it, you get your money back. You don't really, get to win anything off of. You didn't lose anything either. So what she's saying is, what do I think about this push deal? I think it's straight. Yeah, I think it's BS. I think that if you predicted that it was going to be, the 2 point spread was going to be covered, then you should get rewarded for that.
I got pushed on 2.
Yeah, you got pushed on 2, and that's why you only go for 2.5, because it's impossible to tie a game with 2.5 or 1.5. Those are always the best odds. Mm-hmm. The 0.5s, the 1.5s, the 2.5s, 3.5s, whatever you have it. Always go with those numbers because it's never a draw. There's never a push, you know. So if Team B has 2.5 point lead to begin a game, that means that if the score ends up being 113 to 110, and you include that two and a half spread on Team A, which makes it 112.5, the team still wins because they have 113. So that's just basically how it works. But yeah, I think it gives the casinos even more of an edge because it gives. Think about it like this: it gives the casino the ability to have three choices now. They can win the bet, they can lose the bet, or they can draw the bet. It's kind of like a roulette wheel. You know, versus you know, it's the same odds, but like if you got other people that are betting on the 0.5 games, the casino's either going to win or lose. So it's kind of like they're hedging their risk when people are betting on those type of bets.
That's true, because when you push, you don't get paid for it. So my parlay went from a $626 win to $140 because two of the games pushed. And it's not easy to guess that many games, right? It was like, what, a 5-leg parlay or something like that?
Yep.
All right, so let me get into this real quick. Let's look at the MLB games really quick. Thank you for that explanation. You did that more quickly and clearly than I ever could have, and maybe it can help some people. If you're into that kind of thing, we are a sports family. So, I mean, I don't watch like reality shows or anything like that. It's just whatever season it is, that's what we watch it. If it's basketball, if it's football, if it's baseball, hell, we even get into tennis, hockey, everything. So we are very much a sports family. All right, we're looking at the game?
Yeah.
Here we go. Off the top of your head, just looking at the game, who do you have? Marlins or the Washington Nationals?
I would take. Don't have the run line on here, huh?
I have it right here.
Let me see here. Okay, let's start.
Here, let's switch seats. Hold on.
Okay. My fat legs. Y'all hear a lot of rattling back here because she got a 275-pound husband.
A fine 275-pound husband.
Okay, so Miami Marlins versus Washington. I would definitely take Washington. -1.5.
You looking at the spread?
Yep, I'll take Washington -1.5. Then we got the Cincinnati Reds versus Detroit Tigers. I would definitely take the Cincinnati Reds on the win, straight up win for the money line.
I also have that pulled up for you too.
We got the Pittsburgh Pirates versus Chicago Cubs. I would say I'll take the Cubs -1.5 against the Pirates. Chicago White Sox, Texas Rangers. This one I will take Texas Rangers -1.5. Angels versus Baltimore Orioles. I will take the Angels +1.5. Toronto Blue Jays, Philadelphia Phillies. This is a tough one right here, but I would take the Toronto Blue Jays +135.
What's that one?
That's Philadelphia Phillies and Toronto Blue Jays.
Oh, the Blue Jays have been doing really good too.
Yeah, Athletics versus Kansas City Royals. I'm gonna go with my Athletics +1.5. Colorado Rockies versus Atlanta Braves. I can't stand those Rockies. They are garbage, trash. I will take Atlanta Braves -1.5. Minnesota Twins, Houston Astros. I would take Minnesota. Oh, man, this is a crazy one, but I'll take this one. I would take the Houston Astros straight up.
For that one, would you bet it at all, though? Or would you leave it alone?
I would leave it alone, but if we're going down the list.
Yeah.
St. Louis Cardinals, Milwaukee Brewers. Okay, I would go with St. Louis +1.5. Tampa Bay Rays, New York Mets. Definitely go with the Mets to win, -138.
The Mets are really good.
New York Yankees versus Boston Red Sox. They won't let me bet on that, but I'll take the Yankees straight up. San Diego Padres, Arizona Diamondbacks. I would take San Diego plus 139 on the money line. Cleveland versus Seattle. I would take Cleveland plus 1.5. And then last but not least, San Francisco and the Dodgers. I got to take my Dodgers no matter what, so we'll go with the Dodgers. Actually,
they got
I'm sorry.
Butt kick last night.
I'll have to take the Giants plus 1.5. Fool all y'all, huh?
The thing about the Dodgers is, though, they'll play really well and blow out a team, and then they'll turn around and get their butt kicked. Before we wrap up and go into our last innermost question, I have a question for you about baseball, since you were just looking at the spread. I've been noticing a lot of high-scoring games. Is that due to better hitting or worse pitching? What's your take?
I think that's due to you just now getting into the sport of baseball.
Wow.
Because really, I've been seeing this for years.
Like 16?
Yeah, I've seen it every year. Yeah.
Okay.
There's been points like that. Trust me, pitching then got, like, if you the best way to decipher if pitching the pitching talent has got better relative to batting talent is you look at the batting averages of these batters. And over time, like back in the day, you used to see a lot of people with high batting averages, or high on base plus slugging percentages. But now, the new norm, it used to be like 300 was like, if you hitting 300, you're excellent. But nowadays, it's like they kind of digress. They took it back a little bit and said, hey, if you average 20.275, 275 batting average, that's legitimate now, and then it's not frowned upon to have a lot of strikeouts. Pitching has actually upgraded.
Well, what about the ERAs? Do you feel like that's relative to that batting average stat? Like, if you look at the ERA versus the batting average stat, do you think that shines a light on, you know what I mean?
Well, it's kind of hard because, like, pitchers only pitch one time a game, but you get more consistency out of batters.
True.
So it's always in the bad numbers.
Gotcha. All right, so before we wrap this up, very last question. I'm going to let you take this one home. This is a question I have here. It's an innermost question, so it's a deeper question. It's pretty much this, and this is the best way I can describe it. When you first marry someone, you can't predict what you will experience in life, right? Mm-hmm. Health, finances, kids. Maybe you have kids, maybe you go through infertility, whatever the case, you can't really predict what life is going to throw at you, okay? Based on that information, and I'm going to let you take this home, what foundational things should you look for in a marriage that will help sustain your marriage through, that you think will be important in sustaining your marriage, even through these tough or any situation, really?
I think that just, developing a friendship relationship, and within that friendship relationship, you really try to analyze if a person's good behaviors outweigh their bad behaviors and the impact that those behaviors have on you. Because at the end of the day, who you love is the person that you're able to accept and tolerate, some of the inconsistencies. If that person that you're looking at and you're thinking about marrying, or you're thinking about investing the rest of your life with, if that person, if you can't handle the trying times with that person, and it's hard for you to get past her or him or her as the person, if it's hard for you to get past that, then that's not the one you need to be with. You need to be with somebody that you could tolerate. Forget the good times. Whenever there's bad times, you could say to yourself in a peaceful place, after arguing, you could say at the end of the day to yourself that, you know what, we had this bad argument. She got pretty ugly with me. He got pretty ugly with me. But, you know, I'd rather deal with this person than anybody else. You know, if you are able to do that, then that's the one. But if it's that person where you find yourself like when something happens and you just put that in the archive and you keep, you know, festering on this thing, and it's hard for you to get past it because you truly don't love that person because you're not letting things go, then you might want to think twice. Because at the end of the day, you know, love is just basically being able to tolerate the negative in that person. You know what I'm saying? That's what love is, you know. Like me, like my wife, I'm able to tolerate her ugliness. And so, you know, at the end of the day, I always tell myself, like, damn, you know, it could be worse, you know, but I'd rather deal with this shit with her than anybody else, you know, because marriage is an ugly ass thing. It's an ugly institution. It's an ugly institution. I'm just keeping it real. It's like it could be anything. Just ask yourself, you know, like, because it's gonna stem beyond looks and appearances, man. Like if you're willing to, because a person could be the bombest thing on earth, and then if it's just certain things that you just, you know, I can't tolerate that. I can't. Like I don't want to do this shit. Like, I don't care how pretty she look when I roll over in bed and wake up in the morning. Like I just don't like this. You know, if you don't like a person and you really just truly don't like them when they ugly, that's not the right one. But if you could, you know, kind of be like Jesus in a way, like always, you know, despite the ugliness, you can forgive. You have the ability to actually forgive that person, then that's the one for you. If not, then choose to find somebody different. That's the best way I could put it.
Beautiful. Can you take a stab at our outro and take us out of here? Yeah.
Thank you for taking your valuable time to hang out with me, address some of the thoughts and opinions that most often only reside in the innermost. It has been a wonderful pleasure to host you. I look forward to receiving your stories and exchanging experiences in our community at the Innermost Podcast at gmail.com or on Instagram at the Innermost Podcast. I hope you find enough motivation this Monday to carry you through the week. Take care and never abandon your innermost thoughts, opinions, and being. God bless.
All right, love you. Happy Father's Day, babe.